One. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Communications Corner, where we give business tips as well as candidate advice, as well as relationship advice on communications, both verbal and nonverbal. And today I am joined by Jill of Well Connected, who is a sales and networking coach. And first off, thanks so much for joining us, Jill.
No problem, Daryl. My pleasure.
Yeah, and the reason why I was so eager for you to join us today is you shared with me a story that because you're looking to transition back to an education role, and you're looking for an online role, and you applied to a job and you got an offer like immediately, right? So I believe for our job-seeking candidate audience, there's a lot of lessons learned because the fact that you got the job so quickly, even though you hadn't been looking for a job for some time because you've been running your own business, I think there's a lot of lessons learned. So can we just start off with, can you just recap what was the role that you applied for?
Yes, absolutely. The roles I applied for was either a college teacher job or a university teaching job because I had experience as a college teacher. So that was my goal.
Okay. And then when you sent out the applications, did you customize your resume and cover letter to each role? What did that look like?
Yes, I think it's best to do that, Daryl. You really need to cut through the clutter, especially if you're applying online. There's so much competition.
Right.
I definitely did customize my resume, actually my cover letter for sure, and sometimes even tweaked my resume. So I had two strategies for my job search. One was to reach out to people I already knew from my background who had connections in the colleges and universities. And the other strategy was to look online every day. And then Indeed was actually the way I got the job. I got the job from a posting on Indeed. So I definitely recommend that strategy. Actually a third strategy is to go networking online. Exactly what job you're looking for. So yes, that was a long answer, but I customized my cover letter for sure. And yeah, go back. Did you actually answer the question? Yes. So what I did is when I saw the job postings, for example, grades papers in a timely manner. Like if that was in the job post, I would actually put that in my cover letter. I definitely do have that experience, but I'm highlighting to them and I'm putting it in bold because I know sometimes computers scan your resume and cover letter and they're looking for keywords. So I would bold what I've actually experienced and what's in the post in my cover letter. So definitely, it did take time though. Like it took time for sure.
So that's excellent. So this customization, the candidate should do. Do you think that what else do you believe, led to you getting the call? Because I'm sure there was probably you were competing against other resumes and cover letters. What else other than bolding and customizing the words do you believe made your resume stand out?
Well, actually, I had another college teaching friend look at my resume, and I got advice on my resume a few months back. Yes, and so that you didn't need to have a cover letter because on the top of my resume it actually shows a short profile. So within 3 sentences, they know how many years experience I have teaching, that I have an MBA, that I run my own business, and then I've taught business courses. So those were the key things I wanted most jobs were looking for in that profile about me. Right. So that really helped. So actually on this job where I got hired, I actually didn't do a cover letter. I just was last minute, sent it out. And I had my resume, my standard resume kept actually on Indeed. So you just click a button and it goes right to them. So on that one actually got kind of lazy, but I got away with it, Daryl. But I think the profile helped though. The profile helped at the top.
Yeah, a summary or a profile is always key. I always tell candidates that we work with don't have an objective, right? That is like old school and it's limiting, right? Because if you put my objective is to get a role as an accountant, well, guess what? That's only what they're going to only consider you for. But if you outline that you are a finance professional with an MBA and 10 years of experience running your own business and so forth, now they can consider you for something else. Oh, maybe this person could be for a strategic role or a risk management role, something like that, right?
Never thought of that, right?
Yeah, so you did well. Like I like that. So you got the call. You were asked to interview. Can you share with us, what were some of the questions then that were asked of you during these interviews?
Well, they were interesting. They weren't what I expected.
Really?
Yeah, they weren't. They weren't. The first one was, why did you leave your last teaching job? Because I hadn't taught in a while.
Right.
And another one was, why do you want to leave your own business? So those ones I actually wasn't ready for, but I was all ready for a whole set of other questions, Daryl.
Well, how did you answer the one about the business? Because that's a hard one. That's tough for any entrepreneur
Right.
to explain why they want to come back to corporate.
Right. Well, most of the reason is because I wasn't leading enough training. Like I like leading training. I love sharing information. My personal mission is to inspire and educate others and myself.
Right.
And I found running my own business, it was more in the sales role. Like you really had to keep going out. I had to keep going out and getting business. And that's not my favorite part of it. My favorite part is actually leading training. So that's why I knew I was ready to shift and work for someone else and lead courses.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And I take it then it resonated with them because like your passion for teaching, was probably came through.
Right. Yes. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a challenge though to kind of convey that that passion and interest over like a medium like this, like Zoom, because you don't have that in-person sort of luxury now?
Well, actually, it was in person, Daryl. It was both.
Okay.
But that's all right. It was interesting because I went down to their office in Toronto, and he already told me the other office was not in the same province.
Okay.
So it was funny. I interviewed with the person in person with the masks on,
Yes.
and then I brought my laptop, went to another room, and then we all three of us had a Skype call.
Well then see, that is an example of the changes and challenges of today, right? You have your mask, so that
right,
the facial expression.
Yeah.
The Zoom or Skype call.
But luckily I could go, I literally sat in another room from the person who's interviewing me. So all three of us were distanced, so I could take my mask on and we could both take our masks off and talk to the person through Skype. So it was kind of a combination of both, but luckily he warned me. So I said, okay, I'll bring my laptop so I can sit in another room, because they thought, okay, I don't want to sit right beside him and use his display, his monitor. So it worked out well.
Well, that's excellent. If we could stay on that point, any lessons learned with the video interviews when you went through this whole process? Because that comes up a lot with candidates. Just that challenge of, I'm not in front of them, Daryl. It's really difficult, or my setting at home is not ideal, et cetera, et cetera. Any lessons learned or any tips that you kind of came away with?
Well, I guess. Without even thinking about it, I set it up. I already had in my mind, okay, I don't really want to do this interview with the mask on. And I knew this person had a few offices in their space.
Right.
So I said, like, I'll bring my laptop and you and I can be in two separate computers, so we don't physically have to be close together. So we didn't have to wear masks. Right. So that was sort of came about. Another thing is, just like right now, I have to tell, like, there's two other people in this house right now. I have to tell them, okay, 2:30, I'm on. I cannot have any noise. Okay. And I just unplugged the home phone and I just dulled my, turned off this thing too. Right. So you really do have to prepare your environment and dress for the interview for sure. Another point is, you asked me about the types of questions. Well, I always prepare my answers for, I think, are the toughest three questions that will happen, which are standard. You've probably heard them, but it's funny because not many people ask them. But I find if I'm prepared, I actually write out my answers. And then I feel really confident because I know, okay, if those tough questions come up, I'll have a good, I'll be probably nervous. But because I've written out the answer, I'll know. So the three questions that I'm always prepared for before an interview is, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And the general question, tell me about yourself. It's like, okay, so because I'm not 20 anymore, Daryl. So I have a long work history. So I need to eloquently state my history of my work.
Right.
And that actually takes some thought. So I literally write out the answers. And then when I go in, I feel really confident. Even if, again, in this situation, they didn't ask those questions. But I feel confident because, like, okay, I got the hardest ones figured out, I think, right? Yeah. So because you do get nervous. And so it does help if you write out, and even the dates. I thought, okay, it's been 10 years since I did my MBA. What year was that? Right. So just knowing those things, you have to know.
Right. I'll give you one more, and it's probably my favorite question that I always ask, that you as well as our viewers can practice or really do some self-reflection on. So I love this question. I always ask it. What one word would you use to describe yourself, and in this case, as a training and development professional, that you would like for me as well as our college to remember you by?
Inspiring.
Good word. But to see how it causes you to think, right? And I have to.
It does.
Yeah.
And luckily, recently this year, I came up with my mission, and that's the word in my mission.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, you know what? A few candidates, I've actually had to ask them to kind of think about it even further because they were like stumped, and they're like, "I never even thought of that."
Right.
Or they gave like a, sort of almost. Well, some of them sometimes cheat. They give me like 2 words and they try to hyphenate it, like goal oriented. I think that's 2 words.
Didn't pass the test.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we count 1, 2?
Yeah. There you go. So back to this. So you did well the interview, and you were ready with your responses and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So why do you ultimately believe that you got the offer so quickly? Because I think when you were sharing me the recap of this, it was within like the same day or something like that, or a day after.
On the spot. It was on the spot.
Wow, even faster. Yeah. Why do you think so?
It was a bit of a shocker.
Yeah.
Well, a couple things happened. Well, I know they were looking for this person for a while. And during the interview, there was 6 courses I have to teach in business. Okay, that's a lot. And I haven't taught all of them,
right? Because
there's 6 different topics. And they actually in the interview went through my work background to see if I had experience in those areas, and I did. And they found areas I didn't even know about. So I fit what they needed, and also the decision maker was there, Daryl. The person on the Skype call was actually the decision maker. Okay. So that's another factor. Like, do you have the decision? Yeah, you have the decision maker in the room with you.
Right.
And they actually, we 3 of us spoke, and then I ended the call. They kept talking for 10, 20 minutes, and I waited. They came back and they made the offer.
So, I love it.
So yeah, it was fast. I was a bit of a shocker. So don't be afraid to say, give me some time to get back to you, because I felt a little bit, okay, I think I can ask for that. Yeah. I need a couple of days to get back to you for an answer. Yeah. So I did that.
Well, it's an important decision, right?
So I had some more questions and more considerate things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I also learned was interesting, Daryl, is they found my experience in a way that suited the job. I had no idea. So one of the statements he made was, "Oh, I see you have HR experience." I'm like, "Really? Do I? I have human resource experience? Because I've never had a human resources job."
Which resume?
So I'm like, so why do you? Yeah, like with the click of the wrong button that day on Indeed. Yeah. I'm like, I do. So what do you mean by that? Yeah. Well, you have the DISC personality styles. So you're right. Yeah, you're certified to train the DISC personality styles. Yeah. The 4 styles. And I thought, well, that's in my referral corporate training, but I never occurred to me that's an HR skill. And that's what they look at to hire people. And some companies use that to put people through the DISC personality styles. So that was interesting that they actually picked out something in my resume that I had no idea was like under an HR role, because one of the courses I was teaching that I'd never taught before was human resources management. So that's one of the courses I need to teach. So don't underestimate yourself. Sometimes employers will actually pick through your resume and find things that suit the job that you don't even know about.
Excellent.
Which was interesting.
Yeah, that's a great lesson learned.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you know what? You've gone through, this whole process from beginning to end. Any, any final takeaways on, the present day job search, this new world that we're in, both the good and the bad? What are your final takeaways?
Right. Well, I think to have the mindset of it's going to be a good fit.
Okay.
If you come from the mindset, I've got a lot of skills and abilities, and is this company a good fit for me? And we're both trying to see that, rather than it's more like coming from abundance, Daryl. Like, is this a good fit? Is this really the job I want? Before you have that interview, that's what you want to find out, rather than, oh my God, I need a job. Yeah. Different mentality.
Yeah.
So see if it's a good fit, and then always have questions to ask them. So the 3 questions I always ask is, describe the ideal person for this job. And then I can literally see if it's a good fit. And if it is, I mention a couple of things they've said. If it is, why is this a good company to work for? Because if they're interested in you, they're putting their best foot forward, and they want to describe why it's a great place to work. So you want to hear that. And then another important one for the future is, what are the biggest challenges in this job? I want to know what the challenges are. So if they hire me and I start working there, okay, what are some things to look out for? Because there's always going to be challenges in the world, and they'll know them, but it's like, okay, I'd like you to tell me what they are.
Yeah.
So that's important.
Excellent.
Yeah. And also you have to be persistent for sure.
Yes, for sure. And just stay positive, right? There will come a time you will have that role, right? Yeah, exactly. It's going to be
Yeah.
a lot of rejection, but then you will land something for sure. Everyone will, right?
Yes.
I'd
Yes.
add to those questions. Those are great questions. I add and I coach all candidates on this to
Okay.
always ask this and understand this. How will you measure success in this role? What does success mean for this role?
Oh,
Because
that's a good one.
now we're on this. We're
Right.
starting
Because
on
you
the
want to
same
know
page.
what the,
Exactly. We
yeah,
want to
you
know
want to know what they're looking for.
exactly. Does it mean for me to have, like, in your case, I don't know, 80% pass rate, to, help them design a new curriculum, whatever, right? We need to understand both of us that, okay, what does success mean, in this role?
I think I need to ask that question. I'm starting the role pretty soon. I think I can still ask that question. I'd like to know,
Yeah.
what are their
It-
goalposts?
exactly. It'll start your career off on the right note. Yeah.
Yes, thanks for that
Yeah,
tip.
no, not a problem.
Another strategy was to actually use your network. So I think finding a job online is the hardest thing. Is the hardest way to do it. I've actually been successful in the last couple of years. I've had opportunities come from actually both Indeed, but it's better to use your network. So a strategy I would use is, and I did both strategies of writing on who can help me with my job search. My past had people that I knew from different colleges, universities, mentors. So I literally make a list of who can help you with your job search, and you'd be surprised. People are
Wow,
so willing to help and
that's awesome.
connect you. So that's a great strategy. Start with who you already know, and at the same time look online. Like, don't rely on one or the other, because obviously online works too, but your network is important. So definitely use that for sure.
Did you
People love to help. I find they love to connect you.
did you just pick up the phone and start dialing, or how did you reach out to these contacts?
Um, I sent an email. I text. Some people I still have their even my former boss. I have his cell phone number.
Mhm.
I texted him. He replied in 5 minutes.
Wow,
I said I want to
nice.
go back to being a college teacher. Or there's some opportunities where you're working right now, and he gave me a name. I sent off my resume. So yeah, it's they're amazing how they responded. And I actually think these days that people are home more now, that they have more time to answer you. It's amazing. Seem to have more time. Like, I
Yeah.
found that in my job search when I was even sending a resume to a chair of a huge university, he'd reply back to me in 2 hours. I'm going, whoa, this is a nice change. The
Yeah.
dean actually replied back to me in 2 hours. It's like,
Didn't get lost in the mix.
yeah. So yeah, it's been some advantages today that people actually I find are getting back to me sooner than they normally would.
I love
So
it.
that was refreshing.
Okay. Wow. Well, these
Mhm.
were all excellent tips and advice, and I love your story. And good luck, with your new career. And then
Thank
we'll probably
you.
have to do a follow-up show, as to some lessons learned now as you actually are delivering the lessons and the your curriculum. I think there'd be some communications lessons with that while you're actually delivering your teaching. So that would be good to follow up on.
Sure, I'd be happy to touch base when I get right into it, leading the courses. That'd be great. Thanks, Daryl.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much. And you know what? It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Daryl.